Welcome back to the show, everybody. Let's take a look at the numbers while we run the headlines here. We got tokenized gold. Cardano is in the news. Celsius timeline for when they run out of cash. Ethereum censorship by OFAC. Vitalik Buterin speaks out. Fidelity director on legislation. We got the balance of power in crypto, Dad. You're going to want every bit of that. Digital bank Revolut and 17 million customers. Come on in. Ripple powered remittances and SBI, Japan and Thailand. Watch out, everybody. And will Ripple destroy the SEC? Will the SEC case be dismissed on bad faith? We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for exclusive content. It is $1.190 trillion market cap for crypto right now. Bitcoin 23,900 plus, Ethereum 1,800 plus, and it's slipped a little bit since this morning. We see XRP at the number 7 spot at 37 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. It's August 16, 2022. We start with Hall of Famer Michael Branch. Give him a follow here. Brazil's federal deputy says that they have proposed a bill to tokenize gold mined in the country via blockchain technology. Well, you know what? I'm ahead of you because I know that GlintPay is doing this, and I'm out here using my card, ladies and gentlemen, and boy, does it feel good. I went and got some groceries. I went and bought the family dinner. And you know what? I use gold to do it with GlintPay card, baby. Yeah, physically allocated gold to me. And if I get enough of it, I can have it shipped right to the house if I want to. Yes, you can. Don't say you can't, because you can. And the reality is that it's not tokenized gold. It's physical gold allocated to you. It is your gold, and you can put it on your card, and you can spend it anywhere you want, just like cash, baby, because it's God's money. And you can get that link right underneath the video. Cardano, shout out to Charles Hoskinson. What a cool guy. Smart guy, too. Just crazy, crazy smart. XRP's new feature added by Kraken Exchange and Cardano. The proof of reserves audit is an accounting procedure enabling clients who hold these assets on the exchange to independently verify that their balances are indeed backed by real assets secured by the exchange. Now, that's a nice feature. I do not have an account on Kraken, and I'm starting to feel like I should. No doubt about it. Right here, we see in a recent court filing to get you up to date on what's going on with Celsius here. Remember, as we talk about this information, Ripple is eyeing buying Celsius or the assets of Celsius. Keep that in mind as we go through this information. The crypto lending platform Celsius has $2.8 billion in crypto liabilities. And then this article says here that crypto lender Celsius is on pace to run out of cash by October. Uh-oh. You know, yeah, I think Should You Be XRP says it best. Need that Ripple money? Yeah, you know, watch out, everybody. We're going to see what's going to go on with that. But here, if you remember, just the other day, Tornado Cash got really shut down, right, and censored, put on the SDN list, which is not a list you want to be on when it comes to OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets and I can't remember the exact acronym right now. Let me get it right quick because it's going to bug me. Yes, Office of Foreign Asset Control. Yeah, and it's written right there, for God's sakes. But nevertheless, here's what Vitalik Buterin had to say about it, and then we're going to have some thoughts here. Very quickly, he kind of, you know, shot back, and he said here that he considered the censorship an attack on Ethereum and burned their stake via social consensus. The sanctions of forced censorship of crypto mixer Tornado Cash by the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control raises concerns over the potential censorship of Ethereum post-merge. You don't say. Listen, I've been saying this for a long time. If you think the governments and the respective agencies are going to sit back and watch you just create all kinds of new money that's stateless without having regulations and just thinking that they can't stop the technology, Well, you're right about that. They can't stop the technology, right? But they can regulate it and make it illegal if they want to, or tax it out of existence. And, you know, you may be on planet Xanadu if you're thinking otherwise. Now, is that right? Well, there's a lot of things in this world that aren't right. Of course, it's not right. You know, decentralized is decentralized. But what I'm seeing here from the Treasury and the government, the U.S. government, is that they're taking this opportunity to set the tone that if you're going to launch a decentralized platform, you may want to consider designing regulations inside of that framework before you release it out to the wild. That's just the feeling I'm getting. Now, in full disclosure, right? How would Tornado Cash know what those regulations are when there's no real rules of the road, right? So there's the other part of it, right? There's the other shoe dropping. So there's more to come on this. I can guarantee you that. And meanwhile, speaking of regulation, EU mulling new AML regulator to oversee the crypto space. The regulatory body for cryptocurrencies is being created by the European Council, European Commission, and Parliament, which will have complete authority over the sector. Now, this is the stuff that's moving very quickly, and it doesn't feel like it is, but it is. Fidelity's director of global macro says stablecoin regulation will increase institutional adoption of crypto. I have likened stablecoin legislation as the same impact and explosive impact that the Telecommunications Act had on the birth of the internet in 1996. You will see trillions of dollars, I believe, flood into this space. If I'm wrong, I'll make the video. Fidelity, which I probably represent, we've been a Bitcoin since 2014. Not a lot of people appreciate as legacy financial services firm how long we have been involved. I was a part of the delegation in Austin, Texas in June 2022 for consensus. And we had the regulators, and we had the senators who were proponents of the space, and we had the chair of the CFTC there. And there was a lot of consensus, for the lack of a better word, that at least the least regulating the stables, he calls it stables, but stable coins is kind of an ultimate no-brainer. You don't even have to worry about whether it's a security or a commodity, so that's pretty low-hanging fruit. And obviously, it's good that it's hopefully going to happen because it will legitimize this the space, and it will help the institutional adoption. It will make institutions feel a little bit more comfortable that there are actually some guardrails involved, even though it's only stable side and not the actual space itself. But at least it'll be a start. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's exactly what I've been saying here. And that's exactly what we need. That foundational layer that will begin to set the tone that you're going to have this, guaranteed reserves, and know that the stable coin is stable, right? That we're not going to have these insolvent moments and rug pulls and collapses. By the way, keep your eye on USD Tether, ladies and gentlemen. If that gets a rug pull, a collapse, there's already, it appears to be, a U.S. criminal investigation from the Department of Justice into USD Tether. Watch out, everyone. Watch out for this. Federal Reserve opens up master account access to banks with novel charters in win for crypto and fintech. And basically, this is former Morgan Stanley Capital managing director, Caitlin Long, who has Custodia. And she sued the Federal Reserve because it should take 5 to 7 days to open up a master account with the Federal Reserve. And they have held her off for more than a year, or probably closer to 2 years, I think it was. And the reality here is that this gets us one step closer to tying in the crypto world to the actual infrastructure of the traditional financial system. It's very, very exciting. One more step closer to where we need to be here. Balance of power. I have a couple minutes clip that I need to play for you. This is Christian Carlo, and I like the sound of what he's saying here, because everything right now, regardless of whether it gets done by the end of the year or whether it gets done sometime next year, it looks like the legislation that is leading the fore is really headed towards the CFTC for control of crypto, and I think that's the best place it's suited for. I'm going to start right here and let it play. Let's take a listen.
In fact, there's not one, not two, but three separate pieces of legislation coming out of Congress right now. The one you mentioned, the most recent one, by a bipartisan effort by Senator Stabenow and Bozeman of the Senate Agricultural Committee. But that also comes on the heel of an earlier piece of legislation by Senators Lummis and Gillibrand, also bipartisan, out of the Senate Ag, it's a combination of Senate Ag and the Senate Banking Committee. And there's also a piece of legislation in the House that's also bipartisan called the Digital Commodity Exchange Act. And what these three pieces of legislation have in common is they all expand the jurisdiction of the CFTC when it comes to digital assets.
Remember, the DCEA is really backed and endorsed by Ripple heavily because, the CFTC uses as their backbone and their template the CEA, the Commodities Exchange Act, right? That's their their Bill of Rights or framework for the CFTC. So the DCEA really encompasses those digital assets. I'd like to see that get through, but keep listening.
So when we talk about these digital commodities, would that encompass much or all of what we think of commonly as cryptocurrencies, or are they only addressing part of it?
They actually go to cover all of them. So especially the Lummis-Gillibrand bill is very comprehensive in its scope, even touching on what are called stable coins. Now, to further complicate things, there's a separate Senate bill under Senator Toomey of Pennsylvania called the Stablecoin Trust Act that would only address stable coins. But what all of these bills have in common is they are trying to find what is the right home for jurisdiction of these digital commodities, digital assets. And to my mind, what makes them so important is they're recognizing that this is more than just some new interesting asset class for trading purposes, but this is really truly a new architecture of finance, an internet-based architecture rather than an architecture based upon liabilities on financial institution balance sheets.
So well said. So well said. Now I want to skip ahead just so you can get the meat of it here. Take a listen.
And would prefer it to come from the CFTC, not the SEC. Is that true?
I think it is true, and there's a number of reasons for that. The CFTC has built into its very charter and its very DNA innovation. In fact, it was the CFTC that Congress 40 years ago charged with overseeing what was perhaps the most important financial instrument of the 20th century, and that was the financial future. The financial future allowed the world to go off the gold standard and go to a dollar standard because with this instrument, they could hedge the risk of moving exchange rates and moving interest rates. And when Congress looked at that instrument, it said, this is too important to be put under a narrow mandate of investor protection with the SEC. We need an agency with a mandate for financial innovation. And it took a sleepy little bureau out of the Department of Agriculture, renamed it the CFTC, or the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and set it up as an independent agency with a mandate for financial innovation. And the proof is in the pudding, because in 40 years, the dollar has remained a global standard for all things of value. And the reason for that is one can hedge the risk through the financial futures markets overseen by the CFTC. So in fact, there's precedent for a new financial innovation being placed under the CFTC. And I think that's what's in common on all this legislation.
And that, to me, is really, really bullish that there's precedent there that all of this crypto and digital assets should fall underneath of the CFTC. Now, this whole 7 minutes is incredible, but I'm just giving you what I feel like you need to really, really make sure that you hear. Take a listen to this last clip here.
Of comprehensive cryptocurrency legislation passing between now and November is unfortunately slim. But I think it's very good. There's a very good chance of passage in the next Congress. Whoever has the oversight, whoever has the gavel, I think there's a very good chance that this legislation will pass. Look, this is very important here. If people still think of crypto as just really some novel new asset class, I respectfully say they're missing the point. This is really truly about a new architectural framework for finance, for banking, for money itself. It's very important. And it's very important that the United States assert leadership. Europe has got its own legislation moving forward that in some cases has some extraterritorial aspects to it. And as your listeners certainly know, China has moved forward with their own digital currency in the hands of 260 million Chinese by last count. It's very important that the United States assert leadership here.
It really is. And I tell you, you can hear crypto dad Chris Giancarlo, you can hear his passion for this space, and obviously he gets it better than almost anybody. And certainly him and Brian Brooks, I'm really grateful for them because they're very special people in that not only are they uber smart, but they're also from this regulator side. So they understand how to tackle this new asset class without harming and stifling the innovation, and how the U.S. can truly be a leader in this space. Grateful for both of them, no doubt. Digital bank Revolut has received approval to offer Bitcoin and crypto services to 17 million customers in the EEA. Yeah, I mean, if you ever wanted to know, right? Like, yeah, I'm just not sure. You know, do you think are they going to do this crypto thing? They're already doing it. Everyone's doing it, right? We're going streaking through the quad. Ripple to power remittances between Japan, Thailand, and a new partnership via SBI. Now, we've known that Ripple and SBI have been together for quite some time here, but we know also there's been great progress in the APAC region here, and it's growing significantly in response to progressive crypto regulation, innovation from companies like SBI Remit. The crypto company Ripple announced the launch of a new joint project with SBI Remit to streamline Japan-Thailand money transfers. Under the project, SBI Remit, Japan's largest payment provider, will allow Thais living in Japan to instantly send money back home using RippleNet technology. Siam Commercial Bank will represent the Thai side in this venture. Really great things are happening while we see the murkiness of the SEC suing Ripple over XRP. Here is BitBoy right here, BitBoy Ben Armstrong here. And you know what? Listen to what he says, that he believes that there's a chance Ripple destroys the SEC. Take a listen to this clip.
I think there's a decent chance that this case actually goes longer than the SEC exists.
That this case goes longer than the SEC exists.
At the day of the kill, the kill time for the SEC, it is possible. The case would be over immediately after that because they won't have any jurisdiction anymore. I'm telling you guys, there is a chance that Ripple destroys the SEC. This is not conjecture. I've heard this from politicians. There is a chance, at bare minimum, the SEC is getting restructured totally over the next 2 years. Bare minimum. Maybe starting by the end of this year. But I can tell you this, they're not going to have power of the digital assets world. I can tell you that. That's being taken from them very, very soon. But there's a chance that this happens. I had a tweet over the weekend on what's the site where I do the tweets?
Twitter, I think.
Right, on Twitter. And I said, basically, Ripple might actually kill the SEC. And I said, Brad Garlinghouse is doing the Lord's work. And you know what happened right after that? Brad Garlinghouse followed me. Welcome, Brad G. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And now let's listen to this, because this is Ashley Prosper, who puts forth the idea that the SEC behaving so badly in the SEC versus Ripple case that it could get dismissed. Now, there have been legal analysts that suggest that this is highly, highly unlikely. But I just want to show you some of the things that Ashley Prosper has shown here, and then we have a thought or two about this. He shows in here, before imposing harsh sanctions of a dismissal, the district court must weigh several factors. The public's interest in expeditious resolution of litigation. Check. The court's need to manage its dockets. Check. The risk of prejudice to the party seeking sanctions. Certainly a check. The public policy favoring disposition of cases on their merits. Definitely a check. Then let's look at this. For a dismissal to be proper, the conduct to be sanctioned must be due to willfulness, fault, or bad faith. You know, that reminds me of the judge's remarks that there was an unfaithful allegiance to the law. It says here, it is well settled that a dismissal is warranted where a party has engaged deliberately in deceptive practices, that undermine the integrity of judicial proceedings. Court has inherent power to dismiss an action when a party has willfully deceived the court and engaged in conduct utterly inconsistent with the orderly administration of justice. And then we have this. Affirming dismissal of defendant's counterclaim under court's inherent power for concealing documents and violating court's discovery order. You know, all of this certainly makes one heck of an argument. But at the end of the day, we do have to remember, because, you know, Attorney Bill Belisaris, I believe he's referencing here, has settled this question, and I agree it is unlikely to happen, but no harm in speculating about it. That is for damn sure. Anders says here, that's a great point. Perhaps that's why Judge Netburn recently called out the SEC for its tactics. I believe that to be true. Or it could be a tactic by the SEC even to get it dismissed. I believe it's the latter. I believe it's what Judge Netburn has called the SEC out for its tactics, saying an unfaithful allegiance to the law. And at the very least, I think the judge is nudging the SEC, saying, hey, you know, we're getting close to hitting my I don't have any more patience for you button, right? And let's get this together. And that may incentivize both parties to want to get together and find a resolution to this case, aka settlement, right? Now, look, we don't know. It appears it's going to go to distance. I'm prepared this thing to go well into 2023, no doubt about it, and get a judgment, and then even see some kind of action taken to take it to a higher court, all the way to the Supreme Court at some point. I expect that because I believe XRP and XRP Ledger are so very important that it will need to have that kind of finality. But it doesn't mean we can't have success and some clarity along the way to that end result, which may happen, may not. But one thing I do want to say is one of the other reasons that I believe it's really highly unlikely is because a case dismissal would really miss the opportunity for, as John Deaton says, a win for both sides. A chance for the SEC to claim a victory because they get a huge fine. You think they really want to miss the opportunity to get a big windfall settlement with Ripple? Of course not. Brad Garlinghouse has said in years past, we'd have signed the check a long time ago if they gave us clarity with it, but they've yet to do so. And maybe, just maybe, it works out to where Ripple gets the clarity for XRP to move forward and U.S. adoption goes insane, and SEC gets a fine, and we all get back to what we know we need to do, which is really help to build out the fourth industrial revolution and have the United States be a leader in that, just the way they were in the birth of the internet. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. I'll catch all of you on the next one.